Listen, child, have you ever heard the sound a coffin makes when it weeps? The elders say the dead speak in whispers, but sometimes, when the veil between worlds grows thin, they scream. And when they do, the living must answer, or be swallowed by the silence that follows. Before we begin, if stories like this touch your heart, please like the video, subscribe for more, and tell us in the comments where in the world you're listening from. It means a lot to us. The village of Nsukkum lay cradled between the arms of the great baobab trees, their ancient roots drinking deep from the red earth. The air smelled of wood smoke and secrets, of roasted groundnuts crackling in iron pans, of the sweat of men who had spent their lives wrestling the land for survival. And on this night, the drums were silent. The only sound was the weeping of a man named Kwame. Kwame was not a man easily broken. His back bore the scars of the whip from his days in the mines. His hands were calloused from tilling soil that often refused to yield. But now, those hands trembled as they clutched a small, rusted camera, the kind traders sold in the city for a handful of coins. His son Adam had loved that camera. Adam, whose laughter had once danced like sunlight on the river. Adam, who had whispered to his father one evening, "Papa, the dead are not gone. They are just waiting." 3 days later, Adam was buried. The village said it was a fever. Kwame knew better, because Adam had not died with his eyes closed. And the night before his burial, Kwame had seen something move in the boy's coffin. Now, crouched in the shadows of the graveyard, Kwame pressed his forehead against the damp wood of his son's coffin. The earth beneath him was still loose, still grieving. He had waited until the moon hung heavy, until the last mourners had stumbled home with palm wine heavy in their veins. Then he had returned, with the camera. His fingers shook as he pried open the coffin lid, just enough to slip the device inside. The stench of damp soil and something sweet curled into his nostrils. His stomach twisted. "Adam," he whispered, "if you are still here, show me." He closed the lid and pressed record. The walk back to his hut was a blur. The night air was thick with the hum of cicadas, the distant cry of a hyena. The wind carried the scent of rain, but Kwame knew it would not come. The sky was too greedy. Inside, he lit a single candle. The flame trembled as he fumbled with the camera, his breath ragged. The screen flickered to life. For a moment, there was only darkness. Then, a sound. Soft. Wet. Like fingers dragging across wood. Kwame's blood turned to ice. The camera's grainy footage showed nothing at first, then. Movement. Something shifted in the coffin. Not the twitch of a corpse settling. Not the work of rats. This was deliberate. Alive. And then, a hand. Small. A child's. Reaching. Not for the camera, but through it. As if it knew Kwame was watching. As if it wanted him to see. The screen went black. Kwame's breath stopped. Because in that final second before the darkness swallowed everything, he had seen his son's face. And Adam's eyes were open. Child, have you ever stood at the edge of a fire and felt the heat lick your skin, only to realize the flames were cold? The elders say truth is a knife. It cuts clean, but the wound never closes. And Kwame was about to learn just how deep a single truth could bleed. Kwame did not sleep that night. The image of Adam's small hand reaching through the camera's darkness haunted him worse than any spirit. His hut, once filled with his son's laughter, now echoed with a silence so heavy it pressed against his ribs. At dawn, he wrapped the camera in a scrap of black cloth, the same kind used to shroud the dead, and set out toward the edge of the village, where the trees grew dense and the air smelled of wet leaves and old magic. He was going to see Agiwa, the blind seer, the woman who spoke to the dead. Agiwa's hut stood apart from the others, tucked beneath the shadow of an ancient silk cotton tree. The villagers whispered that the tree's roots reached deep into the spirit world, and that was why the old woman's ears were so sharp. She heard what the earth murmured. Kwame hesitated at her doorway. The scent of crushed herbs and dried bones hung in the air. "You bring the dead with you, Kwame," came a voice like cracked leather. "I hear them clinging to your footsteps." Agiwa sat cross-legged on a worn mat, her milky eyes staring at nothing and everything. Her face was a map of wrinkles, each line a story. A single cowrie shell hung from her neck, the mark of those who walked between worlds. Kwame knelt before her, the weight of the camera heavy in his hands. "Nana," he said, voice trembling. "My son, he is not at rest." The old woman tilted her head, as if listening to a voice only she could hear. Then she held out her hand. "Show me." Kwame played the footage. The darkness, the rustling, the small, reaching hand. Agiwa did not flinch. But when Adam's face appeared, those open, knowing eyes, she let out a slow breath. "Ah," she murmured. "This is not your son." Kwame's heart lurched. "What do you mean?" The old woman's fingers traced the air, as if plucking invisible threads. "The boy who was buried was Adam. But the thing in this coffin..." She tapped the camera. "This is something wearing his skin." A cold sweat broke over Kwame's body. A spirit. Worse. Agiwa's voice dropped to a whisper. "An mmoatia, a trickster from the forest. They steal the faces of the dead to walk among the living." Kwame's hands clenched. "Why? Why my son?" The old woman was silent for a long moment. Then, "Because someone called it." The word struck Kwame like a blow. Someone had summoned this creature. Someone had let it take his son's form. Someone in the village was hiding a terrible secret. Agiwa leaned forward, her breath smelling of bitter roots. "The mmoatia does not act alone. It answers to a master. Find who called it, and you will find the truth of your son's death." Kwame's throat tightened. "How?" The old woman reached into a pouch at her waist and pulled out a single, black seed. "Plant this where Adam took his last breath. Water it with your tears. By morning, it will show you the face of the guilty." Kwame took the seed, his mind racing. But before he could speak, Agiwa gripped his wrist. Her nails bit into his skin. "Beware, Kwame. The mmoatia knows you are searching, and it does not like to be hunted." That night, Kwame knelt in the spot where Adam had collapsed, just outside their hut, where the earth still bore the faint imprint of his small body. He planted the seed. He let his tears fall. And he waited. The moon climbed higher, painting the village in silver. The air grew thick, as if the night itself was holding its breath. Then, a rustle. Kwame's head snapped up. Something was moving toward him through the tall grass. Slow, deliberate. His pulse pounded in his ears. The rustling stopped just beyond the circle of moonlight. Kwame squinted, heart hammering. And then he saw it. A shadow. Small. The size of a child. Crouched. Watching him. "Little one, do you know why the scorpion hides under the rock? Because even the wicked fear the light." And Kwame was about to drag something far worse than a scorpion into the sun. The shadow did not move. It simply watched. Kwame's breath turned shallow. His fingers dug into the soil where he had planted the seed, now cold beneath his touch. The night air clung to his skin like damp cloth. Then, a sound. Not from the shadow. From the earth itself. A faint crack beneath his knees. Kwame looked down. The black seed had split open. A thin, vine-like shoot pushed through, unnaturally fast, coiling upward like a serpent rising to strike. Kwame recoiled as it grew, thicker, taller, until it stood as high as his waist. Then it bloomed, not with petals, with smoke. Thick gray tendrils curled from the plant's tip, twisting in the air before forming a face. Kwame's stomach turned to stone. He knew that face. Osei. His brother. The smoke Osei's lips parted. The voice that emerged was not his brother's. It was layered, echoing as if many dead spoke through it. He promised me your son's life, in exchange for mine. Kwame's vision swam. His brother? His own blood had done this? Before he could speak, the smoke face contorted in pain. The mmoatia lies, Kwame. It takes more than it gives. It. A sudden hiss from the darkness. The shadow, Adam's shape, lunged. Kwame shouted as the small figure tore through the smoke face, scattering it into nothingness. The plant withered instantly, crumbling to ash. Silence. Then, a child's giggle. High. Mocking. From the darkness where the shadow had retreated. Kwame's hands shook with rage. Osei. His brother had made a bargain with the demon, and Adam had paid the price. The path to Osei's hut was lined with memories. Here they had raced as boys, their bare feet kicking up red dust. There, beneath that very mango tree, Osei had wept when their father died, and Kwame had held him. Now Kwame carried only a knife. He did not knock. The door gave way with a kick. Inside, the air reeked of palm wine and sweat. Osei sat slumped at a low table, a half-empty bottle in his grip. His bloodshot eyes widened. Kwame. Kwame did not speak. He threw the crumbled remains of the black seed at his brother's feet. Osei went pale. You planted it, he whispered. You killed my son, Kwame growled. Osei's face crumpled. No. I only wanted to live. The coughing sickness was eating my lungs. The mmoatia said it could heal me for a price. Kwame's knife flashed in the lamplight. What price? Tears cut paths through the grime on Osei's face. A life for a life. But I didn't know it would take Adam. I thought a goat, maybe, or... Liar. Kwame slammed his brother against the wall. You knew. You let that thing wear his face. You watched me bury it while my boy's spirit wanders. Osei sobbed. It's too late. The bargain is made. The mmoatia won't give him back. Kwame pressed the blade to his brother's throat. Then you will unmake it. The forest at night was no place for the living. Branches clawed at Kwame's arms as he dragged Osei deeper into the trees. The air smelled of rotting leaves and something sharper, wrongness. The mmoatia's presence. It won't listen. Osei whimpered. It has what it wants. Kwame shoved him forward. Call it. With trembling hands, Osei reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, carved wooden figure, a child's shape, with hollowed-out eyes. This is how I summoned it before, he whispered. Kwame's gut twisted. The figure looked like Adam. Osei placed it on the ground, then pricked his finger with Kwame's knife. A drop of blood fell onto the wood. Come, Osei called hoarsely. I bring another offering. For a heartbeat, nothing. Then, the wind died. The insects fell silent. And from between the trees, small footsteps. Kwame turned slowly. There at the edge of the clearing stood Adam. Or something wearing him. The boy smiled. Papa, it said sweetly. You found me. Listen closely, child. Do you know why the leopard licks its fur clean after the hunt? Because even killers cannot stomach the taste of their own sins. And Kwame was about to learn just how bitter his vengeance would taste. The thing wearing Adam's face tilted its head, its smile stretching too wide, far too wide, like a crack in fired clay. Moonlight slid off its skin, not with the warm glow of living flesh, but with the dull sheen of wet bark. Papa! it repeated, taking a step forward. You came back for me. Kwame's knife trembled in his grip. Every instinct screamed to rush forward, to grab the boy who looked like his son and never let go. But the voice, that was not Adam's voice. It dripped with something old, something hungry. Osei whimpered beside him. It wasn't supposed to look like him. Not like this. The mmoatia giggled, a sound like pebbles rattling in a gourd. But Uncle Osei gave me such nice skin. Why shouldn't I wear it? Kwame's stomach turned to stone. Give me back my son. The creature's smile vanished. Its eyes, Adam's eyes, darkened into pits. No. Osei fell to his knees. Please. Take me instead. Undo the bargain. The mmoatia flicked its gaze to him, amused. You have nothing left to give, weak man. Your blood is sour with fear. It turned back to Kwame. But you burn. I can taste your rage from here. It licked its lips, a slow, deliberate drag of a tongue that was too long. Let's make a new bargain. Kwame's pulse roared in his ears. What do you want? The creature extended a hand, small, delicate, wrong. A trade. Your life for his. Osei gasped. Kwame, no. It lies. The mmoatia hissed and Osei choked, clawing at his throat as if invisible fingers squeezed. Silence, meat. It refocused on Kwame. One life for another. Simple. You die tonight, and at dawn, your son walks out of that coffin alive. Kwame's breath came hard. How do I know you'll keep your word? The creature laughed, a sound like breaking twigs. You don't. It leaned closer, its breath reeking of turned earth. But what choice do you have? The knife felt heavy in Kwame's hand. He could do it. One swift cut across his own throat. A quick end. Adam would live. But no. The mmoatia blinked. No. Kwame's grip on the knife tightened. Not my life. He pointed the blade at Osei. Osei's eyes bulged. Kwame. The mmoatia tilted its head, intrigued. Brother for son? How delicious. Kwame bared his teeth. You feed on betrayal, don't you? Then feast on this. His blood for Adam's life. Now, for the first time, the creature hesitated. Then it grinned. Yes. Osei screamed as the mmoatia lunged, not at Kwame, but at him. The creature's form rippled, Adam's skin splitting like rotten fruit as something darker, sharper, erupted forth, long limbs, claws, a mouth full of needle teeth. It sank those teeth into Osei's shoulder. Osei shrieked, thrashing as the creature pulled, as if sucking more than blood, as if drinking his very soul. His skin grayed, withered. Then, with a wet snap, the mmoatia tore free. Osei collapsed, gasping, his body shriveled like a dried gourd. The creature stood over him, licking its claws. Done. Kwame's heart pounded. Adam. Now. The mmoatia smirked. At dawn. It began to back away, melting into the shadows. If you can find him before I change my mind. Then it was gone. Kwame rushed to Osei, rolling him over. His brother's breath was shallow, his eyes glassy. KW. Kwame. Osei rasped. It tricked you. A cold dread slithered down Kwame's spine. What? Osei's trembling hand pointed past him, toward the village. The coffin. He choked. It's empty. Kwame ran. The night blurred around him, branches whipping at his arms as he crashed through the forest. The village loomed ahead, the graveyard a dark scar at its edge. He reached Adam's grave and froze. The earth had been dug up, not by human hands. Claw marks raked the soil, deep and frenzied. The coffin lid lay splintered, thrown aside. Inside, empty, no body. No Adam, only the camera, still recording, its lens cracked. Kwame snatched it up, pressing playback with shaking hands. The footage flickered. For a moment, nothing. Then, a figure. Small. Alive. Adam blinking up at the camera, confused. Papa. And then, hands. Black. Clawed. Yanking him out of frame. The video ended. Kwame's knees hit the dirt. The mmoatia had taken him. Alive. Child, lean close. Do you know why the baobab tree lives for 1,000 years? Because its roots drink from the same waters as the dead. And Kwame was about to walk where only the ancestors dared. The camera slipped from Kwame's fingers, landing in the upturned soil of his son's grave. Around him, the night pulsed like an open wound. The wind carrying whispers, the trees bending as if to watch. Adam was alive, and the mmoatia had taken him into the ground. Kwame dug his hands into the dirt, nails splitting, blood mixing with earth. He would tear apart the world itself if he had to. But then, a hand gripped his shoulder. Kwame whirled, knife raised, and found Agiwa, the blind seer, standing over him. Her milky eyes gleamed in the moonlight. "Put that away, foolish man," she snapped. "Steel cannot cut what does not bleed." Kwame's voice cracked. "It has my son." Agiwa knelt, her gnarled fingers brushing the claw marks in the soil. "The mmoatia has taken him to the Asamando, the land beneath the land, where the dead walk as shadows. How do I follow?" The old woman reached into her pouch and pulled out a small clay pot, sealed with wax. "This is Nsamanpao spirit dust, made from the bones of those who crossed over and returned." She pressed it into his hands. "Rub it on your skin. It will make you unseen enough." Kwame tore open the seal. Inside, a gray powder shimmered faintly, like crushed stars. "How long will it last?" "Until dawn," Agiwa said. "If you are not back by first light, you will stay there forever." Kwame hesitated. "And Adam?" The seer's face darkened. "If the mmoatia has marked him as its own, even if you bring him back, he may not be only your son anymore." Kwame's jaw tightened. He did not care. He poured the powder into his palm and rubbed it over his face, his arms, his chest. The world rippled. The trees blurred. The air turned thick, heavy wrong. And then, he sank. Not through the earth, but into it, as if the soil had become water. Down, down, into darkness. Kwame gasped as he landed on his knees, the air punching from his lungs. The scent of wet clay and rotting flowers filled his nose. He was underground, but not in any grave. The Asamando stretched before him, a twisted reflection of the world above. The sky was a ceiling of roots, glowing faintly with bioluminescent fungi. The trees grew upside down, their branches spearing into black soil. In the distance, a river of smoke flowed silently, its banks lined with figures, shades of the dead, their features blurred, their mouths moving without sound. And standing in the river's center, waist deep in the smoke, was Adam. "Adam!" Kwame sprinted forward. A hand seized his arm. "Not yet," hissed a voice. Kwame turned to see Nsamanpao, a spirit, its face half rotted, its eyes glowing faintly. "The river is not water. It is memory. Step in, and you drown in yourself." Kwame yanked free. "My son is in there." The spirit smiled grimly. "Then you will need this." It pressed a small, curved horn into his hand, an antelope's carved with symbols. "When the time comes, blow." Before Kwame could ask why, the spirit vanished. He turned back to the river. Adam stood frozen, his small face slack, his eyes unseeing. Around him, the smoke coiled like serpents, whispering. And there, perched on his shoulder like a grotesque parrot, was the mmoatia, no longer wearing Adam's skin, but its true form, a hunched, hairless thing with too many joints, its mouth a lipless gash. It was feeding, sucking the light from Adam's eyes, the breath from his lungs. Kwame's blood boiled. He stepped into the river. The memories hit him like a club. Adam's first steps. His laughter as Kwame lifted him onto his shoulders. The way his small hands clutched Kwame's when the fever burned. Kwame staggered, gasping. The river was inside him now, pouring through his veins, threatening to dissolve him into nothing but feeling. But he clenched the horn tighter and kept walking. The mmoatia looked up, startled. You? Here? It hissed, scrambling down Adam's body. No. He is mine now. Kwame reached his son, grabbing his limp hand. Adam, look at me. The boy's eyelids fluttered. Papa. The mmoatia shrieked, leaping onto Kwame's back, its claws digging deep. I tasted his life. I earned it. Kwame roared, twisting, trying to throw it off. But the creature clung like a tumor, its breath hot in his ear. You will both die here. Kwame's vision blurred. The river was pulling him under, the memories too strong. Then he remembered the horn. With the last of his strength, he raised it to his lips and blew. The sound was not loud. It was immense. A note so deep it vibrated in the bones of the world. The mmoatia screamed, clawing at its ears as its body shuddered, its form unraveling like rotten thread. No. Inowo. It burst apart, dissolving into the smoke. The river shuddered. And then, silence. Adam gasped, his eyes clearing. Papa. Kwame sobbed, clutching him close. I'm here. I'm here. But the roots above them were glowing, brighter, hotter. Dawn. The Asamando was closing. Run. Kwame grabbed Adam's hand, dragging him toward the riverbank. The ground lurched. The roots split. And the world fell apart beneath them. Kwame woke to sunlight on his face. He lay at the edge of the graveyard, Adam curled against his chest, breathing softly. The village stirred around them, women heading to the river, children chasing goats, as if nothing had happened. But when Kwame looked down, he saw it. A single, blackened handprint on Adam's shoulder. The mmoatia's mark. Gone but not gone. Kwame exhaled slowly. They would live with it. Together. African proverb. The axe forgets, but the tree remembers. If this story gripped your spirit, smash the like button, chant your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe so you never miss a tale spun under the moon's eye. Ring the bell to journey with us daily, for the stories are many, and the night is long. Share this with someone who understands that some wounds never heal, but some loves never die. Until next time, little firelight, keep listening.